Media.
What do you do when you run out of content ideas? We're going to answer that question today. Let's go.
Hi, my name is Ronnie Cruz. After almost 2 decades as a career network marketer, I realized that despite continual work on my personal and professional development, that I had hit a massive brick wall. So I took a deep and honest look at myself, top to bottom, hoping to find answers, and my search led me to one conclusion. The definitions I held of my business, of my world, of my life were the very things holding me back. If I wanted to change, if I wanted to grow beyond my current circumstances, I had to wipe the slate clean and redefine. This show is dedicated to helping you identify the belief systems, the mindsets, the very definitions that have held you back, and then help you break through those limitations to finally create the life you've been working so hard to achieve. Welcome to the Redefine Podcast.
Okay, happy podcast day. Happy podcast day to you. Welcome to the show if you're brand new. And of course, if you are an existing listener, welcome back. Recently, just today, because I remembered that I had to record an episode, and I was like, well, what the heck am I going to talk about? My focus and attention has been so much on, keeping my dogs company and taking care of them and watching over them, and gladly so. That's by choice. However, that means that I haven't given any attention to coming up with a roster of ideas, a syllabus of ideas for the coming episodes here. So I thought for today's episode, I would share with you what I've done in the past when this has happened to me. When I've struggled, or when I thought I've struggled with coming up with the next idea for the next piece of content. And this can apply to whether you're doing long form like podcast or videos, YouTube videos, or if you're doing reels or TikToks. Doing at least some of these practices will help you keep a constant stream of ideas for your content. Now, that said, this conversation today will apply more to the people who are putting out content for like marketing's sake and for building your personal brand and personal recognition and expanding your reach. In the next episode, we'll talk specifically more about using social media to network and what kind of content I feel and I believe you should post when you're using the platforms to connect and develop relationships, as opposed to, again, marketing and building your brand. So today is more marketing and building your brand recognition. So number one, it's going to be a list of 5. So top 5 things that I do to continue to generate a constant stream of content ideas. Number 1, answer the most common, I don't have my glasses. If you're watching the video, I don't have my glasses, so I'm having a hard time reading my own list. But number 1 is answer the most common challenges that people in your field or niche face. Now, an important thing to mention that I failed to mention earlier is that it's okay to repeat ideas. You're going to have a new stream of a stream of new viewers and followers coming in all the time, listening and consuming your content. So recycling ideas is never a wrong thing or a bad thing, especially if they're the most common challenges or the most common things that people face in your niche. It'll always be relevant, right? And on top of that, you will hopefully have then a newer perspective on those challenges if enough time has gone by when you've revisited those topics. So it's okay to repeat, especially again, like if you're continuing to grow your audience, continuing to consistently put out content, you're going to end up revisiting things, and those most common challenges will always be relevant to your field and niche. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2. Do a search, right? Search on Google is the easiest thing. If you do a search on Google and look at what people in your niche are searching for, Google will really kind of populate the search itself, and you can pick like the top 5 questions that you see on Google that it populates, and answer those as your as your topic, as your content. I have to admit, I don't use this much, and I haven't used this much in the past. This particular tactic in the past, just because I haven't had to, and I tend to kind of shy away from like the more techie sides of things, especially like keyword searches and identifying, the keywords that people in your niche are looking for. I'm not an expert at that. I should probably get better at it, because I mean, obviously, if Google knows what people in your niche are searching for, you should probably listen to Google. But that's a good one. And to learn more about how to do keyword searches, and find out what people in your niche are searching for online, you can just Google it, right? Right. So that's number two. Do a keyword search, or search for what people in your niche are searching for online. Number three, this is a really easy one. And you should be doing this anyways, but this is a good source of inspiration for ideas. Read and or listen to books and podcasts, like you're listening to this one. That's a simple one. I consume a lot of podcasts now. I used to not before I started my own podcast, but after that, I started listening to more podcasts. Of course, I've been a avid listener of audiobooks, and I read a lot of books as well. You can see in the video well, at least some of my library. And so it's a great source of ideas, because like if you're consuming content, and you're actively kind of digesting the information, it's always going to spark ideas, right? And that's part of this exercise, is to continually work and exercise your creative side, right? And your critical thinking. Really kind of mull things over and let it inspire you to come up with not necessarily new ideas, but new perspectives, and new ways to share the ideas that inspire you. So listening and consuming content from people that inspire you, I think will help you get inspired, number one, and then inspire others in return. So that's a really simple one, and like I said, you should always be consuming content that's helping you grow anyways, from a skill set standpoint, from a business standpoint, and of course, most importantly, from a personal growth standpoint. So yeah, just listen to your favorite influencers, to your favorite teachers and experts, and share the things that inspire you about them. Share the things that inspire you about the things that you're learning, and yeah, like I said, you'll in turn inspire people with your content that you come up with. Okay, so number four, keep a running list. I know this seems like obvious, like how do I come up with ideas to keep a running list? But trust me, you have ideas all the time. Again, if you're actively engaging your imagination and your creativity and your critical thinking, ideas will just pop up. Especially if you're listening to a podcast, or a book, or again, even reading a book. An idea will pop up. The exercise isn't so much coming up with the idea, but jotting that idea down, right? I think when you do that, you'll be surprised how many ideas you actually come up with. And if you're just keeping a running list, you'll always have ideas to pull from, right? Like I have notes that go on forever on my phone, and it's just full of ideas. I don't use all of them all the time, but just as long as I'm keeping up with that habit of like, okay, this is a great idea that I can talk about, in a future episode. It'll just start to happen naturally, and you'll never be short of ideas, right? You'll never be short of ideas. Again, you have to give yourself more credit, that you can actually have, but you do actually have the ability to come up with ideas, and that you're doing it all the time. You just aren't keeping track of it. So keep a running list. And then number five, the last one is share your own challenges. This is the easiest one, and that's exactly what I'm doing with you today. My challenge for this episode was to come up with an idea for a content, and so the answer to do that is to share with you how to come up with ideas for content. One of the things about doing this is it shows the human side of you, that you're not perfect. I mean, I like, there was, and it's not so much as bad as it used to be, but there still is the kind of this trend of the need to be the expert, and to have all of the answers, and to always be right, et cetera, which I guess that kind of has its place. But I think people connect to authenticity a lot more than they do with you being the shiny expert. Because for me, if you're building a brand, if you're building a community, if you're even with marketing, I think it's sorry, my dog is downstairs. She's asking for help, so I'm going to wrap this up pretty quick. If they see the authenticity, you're creating more of a connection and a community versus creating a fan base, right? And I would much prefer to create a community than create a fan base. And so sharing your authenticity by sharing your challenges, there she goes, I think is one of the best things you can do when it comes to your content creation. So I'm gonna go ahead and go. Remember, next episode we're gonna talk about content to post for your if you're networking online and using social media to connect and develop relationships. So we'll catch you in that episode. Until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.